these as well.
We're
You will
actually
find.
recording this webinar, so we'll include the recording as well. We'll send emails to all the participants with the recording and all the links and slides that you have been using today.
All right, so just moving on, just so that you know, in the actual handbook, I don't know how many of you actually open the handbook, but on page 87, there is a glossary which explains exactly what each thing means in any part of the exam. I just took a screenshot, but for example, collocation, what do they mean by collocation? So what do they mean by coherence? So this is the whole exam, but there's things here that are very specific to the writing. But I just want to go back to this part and why and how I use this. I don't know about you, but basically what happened with my students that used to frustrate me a lot, to say the least, is when you give them back an assignment with a mark on it, they just look at the mark and they just put it away. They don't look at the corrections you've made, the time you've taken to write comments or how they can improve. And if our job is truly to improve students' performance in the writing, we need to give them the opportunity to improve. So what did I start doing? I started getting this on A5 pieces of paper. So I literally have a copy of this to go when I'm marking. And I don't give students the grade. I stopped giving, I kept the grade. I made a note of their grade, but I stopped writing a grade on their piece of writing. And what I did do was attach this piece of assessment criteria, and I highlighted why they got a 3. So were there minor irrelevances? Was the use of convention of a communicate task effective and held my attention the whole way through? So what I did is, depending on whether there were a 5, a 3, or a 1, I highlighted exactly where they were on each part of the criteria. So students have a very visual mark scheme from where they are at any particular time. So let's assume students got 3, a 5 in communicative achievement, and then got 3s in everything else. What I would do is I would allow the student to rewrite this piece of writing, keeping in mind the 3s, and then hand it back to me. People said, oh, but that's a lot of marking. It's not really, because most of them won't do it. But the ones who are very serious about doing it, do it. And those, if you can just help those, you're already helping a lot. So to save my time, because what I was doing is I was looking at the criteria and I would write the mark, and then I would have to write and explain why they got this in content, why they got this in, and it was taking too much time to write everything out. It's much easier to have these in black and white, ready to go, and you just highlight where they're at. And then give them the opportunity to rewrite. Like I said, if we're encouraging our students to improve, we need to give them the opportunity to improve. Like I said, 90% of them won't want to rewrite it, but those 10% who do want the 5, that's where you'll be making the difference. And I think that's really important. I don't know if you have anything to add, Angie?
Yeah, it's exactly what I had said about the self-correction. If we correct for all the students and put a percentage, they just look over it, but they don't learn from that writing that took them such a long time to do and what they usually complain about. So the fact that with Miss Lucy's suggestion a few months ago, I stopped giving the percentage and I just underline the errors that they make, and I encourage them to self-correct and to rewrite. So they realize, goodness me, I put so much effort into this writing, so I need to actually learn from it because I need to correct my mistakes in order to get my percentage. It's also important for the students to know where they went wrong for content, communicative achievement, organization, and language. So I usually break it down into 0 to 5 so they can see, right, I'm spot on with my content. I included everything that the article needed. I held the attention of the target reader and I achieved the outcome correctly. I got a 3 in organization, which means that I'm not using my linkers, I'm not using the correct paragraph, there's no natural flow. Oh wow, but I really improved on my language. So maybe the fact that I'm using more of a variety of grammar has really taken its toll. It's reflected, in fact, in the results. So I really think it makes a difference. Miss Lucy, do you mind moving on to the next slide, please? So this you had already spoken about, Miss Lucy, so that's the next one, please. Right, so a little progress each day adds up to big results. As Lucy and I said in the beginning, we do not know everything. We are not the know-it-alls of the world. We are just sharing with you our personal experience within the classroom. I am still teaching. I have proudly been teaching for 30 years, and I live and I learn. I make mistakes, and I try to progress a little every day. We don't want to overwhelm you with all this new information. We don't expect you to go into the classroom on Monday and apply all of this knowledge, but we encourage you to do little changes in your writings with your FC candidates, and you will see that you will ace this exam just like we have with some of our students. And Miss Lucy, that moves on to the next slide.
Okay, so before we wrap up, the planning document that I shared with you, the 4, you'll find it as part of a video on our training site. This is a training site which is available to anybody. It's a membership site, so it has a monthly or an annual fee, and then you have access to tons of training from young learner right up to proficiency, special needs, etc. So it's all in one platform. Angie mentioned IELTS. We also have an IELTS Train the Trainer course. So for teachers who do teach IELTS, if you want, the thing is, I have inside information. Where I'm fortunate is that I was an examiner, so I can share a lot of information of exactly what it takes for a student to get higher than a 6. And it's I gave you some examples. Just writing in paragraphs is one of them. So these little tips and hints will be available on this course. Also, those of you who teach young learners, if you're interested, Angie I think she knows young learners better than Cambridge does. So if you want to join our Q&A session on the 15th, it'll be at 11 Portuguese time, so it'll be 12 o'clock there. But if you'd like to join us and bring your questions along, feel free.
And can I just interrupt you there to show us our incredible flashcards? So I am often questioned by school and teachers and friends and colleagues about what is important in the YLE exam, what words do I need to concentrate on, do we have any flashcards of this? So as you know, in the cambridgeenglish.org site, you can download the handbook, but there are no specific flashcards online or that you can buy until now, until Miss Lucy started with her Cambridge Teacher Club, that you can find like ours. So I'm just going to give you an example. If you are, for example, teaching the different types of materials that are needed in the exam, and you don't know which is starters, movers, and flyers, in our flashcards, you actually have at the top of the flashcard if it belongs to the starters, or if it's a flyers, or if it is a movers word. These can be downloaded in color. You can plastify these and use them forever because we believe in reusing and recycling. Or you can go ahead and actually do this on cardboard and they can also be plastified or not. So this is relevant to the different types of transports that are needed for the starters, movers and flyers exams. And once again, as you can see, train is for starters. Why do I know that? Because I know my handbook off by heart, or because I have it with me, or in fact because it is on the flashcard itself. So I know that train needs to be taught for the starters exam, and I know for the movers exam I need to in fact teach tractor because it's there on the card, and I know that I need to teach rocket because rocket is the flyers. Remember, these are stacking exams, so whatever they learn in starters and movers, they also need to revise that for flyers. So these are, for me, teacher friendly, student user friendly, and it makes your lives much easier. We know how hard you work, we know how many lessons you have to plan. A lot of you have second jobs, we know you have to go home to family, we know that some of you look after your mothers and fathers, you have a lot on your plate. So making teacher friendly, user friendly flashcards makes our lives easier. Miss Lucy?
I don't know how many of you actually know that these young learner exams actually were brought in because of the failing rates at the writing in first many years ago when they did a survey, and 43% of the students failed because of lack of vocabulary and grammar. So this, this is all, it all sort of fits in. As Angie says, this is a stacking exam. So they started with a Wiley to build a solid base of grammar and vocabulary so students could build up on, and hopefully the writings wouldn't be so bad at first. But still, they still have issues. Writing is still globally the worst mark in all exams all over the world. So it's an area that does need extra work, because come back to what I said earlier, students don't read. Also, for those of you who teach IELTS, we have speaking packs available where you can use in the classroom. You can, these are PDFs, so you can buy them and just download them and have them forever. I think that's pretty, the last slide is not here. There was the boot camp, but then we can talk about that. I'll send the information to you, Julie, and then you can share it with, I don't know if anybody has questions.
So we can actually use the chat box if it makes things easier. It's working here now. Okay, or if you feel more comfortable, feel free to raise your hand and feel free to ask a question.
There is no stupid question, so please feel free. I ask questions all the time. We live, we learn, we're learning together, so please don't hesitate, don't be afraid, just ask any doubts, any questions that you have.
I guess that you delivered a very informative and a very clear webinar.
Yeah.
Everything is in its place and clear.
I do encourage you all to speak to Lubomir about readers. It's really important that they start reading at this level. It's really important.
Luba, would you like to add something?
No, I really think that this was very much in-depth and very informative. I myself no longer teach, so my thoughts are now towards the organization, materials, and things like that. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for this incredible opportunity. It was so wonderful being with you when we were in the fair, the educational fair in Serbia. We learned so much, and we are so very grateful for this opportunity to share our knowledge and learn with you. And if you have any questions or queries or doubts as you're going through all the information that Julia then sends you, please feel free to contact us. All the information is on the Cambridge Club too. You live, you learn, but if you don't know, if you don't try, you'll never know. Thank you so much. So very grateful. Thank you.
So thank you all for attending today's webinar. So as I already mentioned, I am going to send all the information and all the data mentioned today. So don't worry, I have your emails. Once again, thank you for your time. And I hope we'll have an opportunity to meet in person as well again.
I hope so. I hope so. Thank you. We hope that was really, really useful. Thank you for the time, because I know weekends are precious, but thank you very much for the time that you've given up to be here today. And only the good ones are here today. Only the ones who really want to learn. Only the ones who really want to learn. Because the problem is not many want, they don't take the time or the effort. They expect things to fall on their lap. And the ones who are here today, congratulations for giving up your time and for wanting to be the best possible teachers that you can be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care. Much love.
Take care.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.